Hey everyone, I'm Kay Donaldson, the director of the Alabama Bass Trail and Tournament Series. And typically you would hear me say, Welcome to the Alabama Bass Trail podcast, but that isn't exactly what we're recording today. This is Friday, November the 22nd. And as most of you know, it has been 2 weeks of a lot of emotion, and that is built up of anger, frustration, bitterness, defeat, but also thankfulness and encouragement and passion. Um, I've worked in the tourism industry now for almost 20 years. And one of the things that I constantly hear in our industry is that we've got to have passion for where we live, passion for what we do, passion for the things that we, support or promote, that people buy from people with passion. And I can say over the last 14 days or so, I have certainly seen the passion in the fishing industry. It's not passion about winning first place. It's not about passion of winning Angler of the Year or anything like that. It's been a passion about the sport that a lot of us love. I'm not going to lie and say that I know what it feels like to win an Angler of the Year or to win a first place prize at $15,000 or whatever, because I haven't. Um, Luckily, I'm able to be in the position that I can provide those opportunities for other people. So to say that I know what that feels like, I don't. To know what it feels like to reel in a 7 pound bass, I don't. I don't think that's where my expertise is best used, um, or really where my heart is. Honestly, um, my heart is sitting behind this desk, providing an opportunity for people to do that. It's also, to fight for things that I believe in, and I wanna talk about that. I wanna thank the people who have reached out to me and to our team, to thank us for what we're doing. But this expands so much far outside the Alabama Bass Trail. This is Lee Holmes at Sylacauga Marine. This is the Coosa River Team Trail. This is the Airport Marine Trail. This is high school fishing. This is regular, everyday guys that want to go fishing, because the fishery is there for everybody, not just for big, large trails like the Alabama Bass Trail and those others I mentioned, not just for BASS, not just for MLF, not just for MPFL. But we do need to keep in our mind what those big tournaments mean to our state. And that's kind of where I've focused most of my attention as to what those would mean economically. Um, I had someone ask me yesterday on a podcast, why is this so important? The Alabama Bass Trail is going to fill up anyway. Why is this so important? And it probably wasn't until that person asked me that question that I could really do a deep dive and understand why it is important. One of the main reasons the Alabama Bass Trail was started in the beginning, in the beginning, was to bring a light to small communities that needed to capitalize in the tourism focus, like a Camden, like the Mobile Delta. That was, you go to the southern end of the state and you think of 27 miles of white sand beach. You rarely think about the Mobile Delta as a bass fishery. Camden, you think about it for gator hunting, but it is one of the top 10 poorest counties in our country. And for us to be able to go there and deliver 175 boats or 100 boats of guys that are going to stay there 2 or 3 days and affect that local economy the way we have, that is the whole reason that we were started to begin with. Yes, we pay a good payout. Yes, we do decent live coverage, great live coverage now. But we were really started to go into small communities and make a difference. Communities that don't have a Von Braun Center like Huntsville or Rocket City Trash Pandas or Regions Field or Protective Stadium, to go into communities that don't have those type of facilities that create incredible economic impact. Barber Motorsports, the Hoover Met. There are communities that don't have those facilities, but do have an amazing God-given natural resource. And that is 100% what the Alabama Bass Trail started to do. If you're familiar with our history, 13 months later, we did start the Alabama Bass Trail Tournament Series. And again, the mission was the same. It wasn't to go outside of our original mission. It was to stay within those guidelines and do the very best we could do to create economic impact in small communities that needed us. And what we've seen happen since then, and I'm not taking credit for it, so please don't misunderstand what I'm saying here. But what we've seen happen is development along this Alabama Bass Trail corridor, if you would say. We've seen major hotels open in Jasper because of fishing tournaments. We've seen facilities like Lincoln Landing built out of the dollars at the city of Lincoln. No federal dollars, no state dollars, all paid for by the city of Lincoln. We've seen Leesburg Landing, a cooperative effort between the town of Leesburg and the Department of Conservation Freshwater Fisheries. We've seen improvements made at Beeswax, all funded by Shelby County Commission, to host major events. Some might ask, why would they go to the expense of increasing boat ramps and increasing parking? It's to host big events that fill gas stations, that fill hotel rooms, that fill restaurants. Because that's what they have, is a lake. They have a fishery. You don't see them going out and building a 9,000-seat arena to host concerts or hockey tournaments or a minor league baseball stadium. They're building on what they have. You've seen Anglers Point develop right there by Lincoln Landing because anglers need a place to stay. Again, that is what our mission was in March of 2012 when we announced the Alabama Bass Trail as a tourism mechanism, and it is what we do today with our tournament series. I have seen incredible passion from anglers that have reached out to the Conservation Department, to their legislators. I've seen city officials reach out, not only to myself, but to other people in the industry, to legislators, to the Lieutenant Governor's office, to the Department of Conservation. We've had anglers, other tournament organizations, general population that just want to support something that they feel very, very passionate about. And I want to say thank you for that. And I know that there's been a lot of people leading this effort to not get a win, but to get a compromise. And there is no doubt in my mind that there could be a great compromise for everyone. I want to commend Lee Holmes and the Coosa River Team Trail for going ahead and putting something in place that they feel will go a long way in helping preserve the resource. I think they did a 15-inch minimum limit on their tournaments for next year. I applaud them for doing that. I do want to explain kind of where the Alabama Bass Trail is on that. We have a lot of people that fish with us, a lot of people that fish out of state, and we are always very clear on our rules when we start the season. To have to make a change in the middle of the season could cause great amount of confusion, and we don't want anyone penalized for confusion that we create. And so we want to make very clear that when we make a stance on something or we make a self-imposed regulation, that we do that and that we're able to maintain that throughout the season. Just things can change, and where we are right now, and I'll go ahead and specify that. The last email that I received as of yesterday, this topic will not be brought up until the March 8th advisory board meeting, the Conservation Advisory Board. We are hopefully having a stakeholders meeting prior to that meeting so that we can state our reasons for opposition and hopefully be able to enter into some type of compromise with the department. We want to respect their study, their gathering of information, and we just are asking them to take a look at the broader picture from the city and the county and the towns that are affected by this. I read a quote from Chad Scroggins, the county manager there in Shelby County, and he said this will directly affect the funds that go to building their soccer fields, that go to build the money they invest in Oak Mountain State, in the Oak Mountain State Park. It will affect some of the road projects that they've done because they're using the dollars generated through tourism for some of those projects. And a lot of your communities are the same way. A lot of tourism dollars are used for road improvements. They're used to help build quality of life parks. They're used to bring in other facilities. 100% Ingalls Harbor was built by tourism dollars because of the anticipated revenue that it would generate for the city of Decatur. How do I know that? I worked on that project. And that is 100% paid for by tourism dollars. That entire project at Ingalls Harbor is paid for by tourism dollars. I lived there a long time without an Ingalls Harbor. And luckily, I was able to live there for several years with Ingalls Harbor. That is what tourism dollars are meant to do. So when people say, what has tourism dollars done for me lately? I can't see anything it's done for me in Gadsden, or I can't see anything it's done for me on this. Well, have you been to Buffalo Wild Wings in Gadsden? Was it there before the riverfront development took place? No, it wasn't. Other things that are following along are because of tourism dollars. At some tables, those dollars may not be important, but at others, they're very important. So I just kind of wanted to give you an end of the week wrap up with where we are and what's transpired over the last week. I was able to do a podcast with Spencer Graves and Lee Holmes there in Birmingham that went out on Spencer's show, and I appreciate his participation in that. I look forward to having him on the Alabama Bass Trail next year in the South Division. I've been on a couple other podcasts that are going to go up a little bit later on in the week. One with Get Your Fish On. He will be publicizing a interview that I did with him yesterday. That'll be going up on YouTube as well. We've had a couple other requests to come on and do some podcasts with other people about this, but I want to be real clear on what I think this is. Um, I do I do feel very defeated over the fact that the state of Alabama spent a lot of dollars in promoting our state as a year-round fishing destination. I'm very proud of the work that we've done in doing that, but we've spent a ton of time doing that. We've always been known as the home of bass fishing, with Ray Scott and BASS starting here. We've always kind of been known as that area. Um, so I would hate to see any type of I guess shadow cast over those efforts. But it has felt that way this week. I've read a number of the emails that you guys have posted online, um, that you felt very disheartened by. I received one yesterday that I have to say I didn't get the warm and fuzzies over it. But I do, you know, I do still believe that we have an opportunity to come out with a compromise that the fishery itself will be impacted in a positive way, and that we will be able to maintain our businesses. And and I don't just mean tournaments. I mean the hotel workers, the 4-H club, the beeswax grocery that's right there at Beeswax Park, Sylacauga Marine, Airport Marine, their workers that rig boats, their workers that sell boats, the tackle stores, giant big box stores like Academy, the Bass Pro Shops, the Tackle Trap, the Tackle Box, all of these, whether it be GTO or whoever, that they'll still be able to have the traffic that they have generated by fishing in the state of Alabama. That's my goal. When I sit and think about everyone that's affected, a lot of times it's so easy for us to think about just how it's going to affect me personally. My 100% concern has been about how it's going to affect those towns that I really felt like the Alabama Bass Trail brought a light to. and helped. And and not only did we help by going there, but we helped by bringing attention to it so other people went there. And it's that's been really been what's kept me up at night over the past 14 days is what are going to happen to those communities? Where are they going to replace that revenue from? It is a daunting, daunting feeling to think that we would not abandon, because that's not in my nature, and that's not going to happen. We're not going to abandon those communities. Um, but people ask all the time, well, what if you're still going to fill up? So why are you worried about it? We may fill up, and all anglers are important to me, whether you're from Tennessee, Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia. But out of town, out of state anglers, it's proven that when they come into a community, they do spend more tourism dollars than someone who lives 25 miles from the ramp. Everyone's important in the Alabama Bass Trail focus as far as 225 boats is 225 boats at $1,600 entry fees. It is what it is. So if you're looking at it from that standpoint, I see where you're coming from. But from a tourism perspective, anglers that come from over 50 miles from that destination do spend more money in that market. So you got to think about that. At least I think about that. Um, I'm not selfish enough just to say that I just want us to fill up. I'm also not selfish enough to think that we're the only trail out there that needs anglers. Um, Everybody wants to talk about putting June, July, and September off limits, and I'm not saying that's a bad idea, but I'm saying if I'm the Benton Nissan tournament or if I am the songwriters tournament in Florence, I need the most anglers I can have if I'm going to give as much money to charity as I give, like the ARC tournament. So I've got to have that tournament outside of the normal fishing season. So if I want the most boats I can get, I can't have it January through June because with all the other trails going on, anglers are not going to miss a tournament in that series to fish a charity tournament. And charity tournaments do a lot of good, whether it's the shoe drive tournament, whether it is the ARC tournament, whether it's the songwriters tournament, whether it is a food bank tournament. They all do good work. So I have a hard time with just saying, okay, no tournaments during that time. Luckily, I don't have to say that. The Alabama Bass Trail doesn't fish in July and August and September. We have before in September because of COVID, and we may again in September if we add other events. But it's hard for me to say that no one should be allowed to fish then. So, um, I don't have an answer for that. I wish I did. Permitting, I've seen that a lot, and permitting is fine on paper. If you've ever been through the permitting process, you'll realize why that necessarily won't work. Um, I guess it could, but you got to change the whole process. Right now, you can't get a permit until 30 days before your event. So if I release my schedule in May and I open up registration in August and I can't get a permit until 30 days before my event, if I'm denied that permit, what do I do with the 225 boats that are already signed up to fish? So there are good and bad in all of it. I think the best thing to do is just to try to find the situation that offers the most best opportunities for everyone. Um, I want to thank the Department of Conservation for their efforts in listening to the anglers that complained over the course of however many years about the Coosa River. They obviously heard you and employed Auburn University to do this study. So they did their due diligence. I do know that they have approximately $30 million in anticipated entry point projects that they're working on or that they have on the schedule to work on. And we all need great access to the water. So I know that they have some really good projects available. I know there's a lot of really good work that goes on in that department. But as everything goes along, you're not always going to agree. A lot, we can say this. I mean, a lot of people don't agree with what I do here at the Alabama Bass Trail or how I run things at the Alabama Bass Trail. They've been very vocal online about that. They've been very vocal with me about that, and that's okay. Not everybody's going to like you all the time, and that's okay. I'm sure if you talk to the people at Coosa River and the people at Airport and the people at Sylacauga and the people at ASABFA or the Bass Nation or Bass or MLF, a lot of times they'll tell you not everybody agrees with us. And that's your right to do that. So we're not always going to agree. I do hope that there is an opportunity for a compromise. I'm still holding out hope for that. I do want to encourage anyone who does reach out to the department or to anyone, whether it be the Alabama Bass Trail or whatever, is to try your best to do it in a very acceptable, socialized manner. No one likes to get yelled at. No one likes to be berated. No one likes to be defeated, as we've been this week. So keep that in mind when you're offering your opinion, when you're sending your emails. Um, I've worked in public relations and in sales and for the most of my life, and I've had times when I was really, really frustrated and mad, and in my mind, I was really going to give that guy down the road, and I have given some people down the road in my time. Um, but I've also understand that cooler heads typically prevail. So, um, you don't know what's happened to that person on the other end of the line when you call or you send an email or whatever. So I do encourage you to continue your efforts in sending emails and sending your concerns and voicing your concerns. We do ask that you do that in a very socialized and easy manner. We want a compromise on this, and I do hope that will happen. Um, see what else I had on my notes here. I do want to thank all the Alabama Bass Trail followers. I want to thank you for sharing our podcast. I want to thank you for all the love and support that you've sent this week through emails, through Facebook messages, through text messages. It has been reassuring at times when I know our team felt very defeated. And I say team, it's not just me. I want to thank the organizers of the other trails within the state of Alabama, Lee Holmes, Bill Mayo and his group with the Coosa River Team Trail, Airport Marine Trail, the ASABFA, the Bass Nation, the people at Bass that I've talked to, the people at MLF that I've talked to. Trying to think, the people, Paul Benson at NPFL that I've had lengthy conversations with. Um, the cloud is still out there as to what's going to happen, and I think that is still affecting people's willingness to commit to bringing their tournaments to the state of Alabama, or at least on the Coosa River. I think we need that fog cleared up for them to be able to make their decisions, and hopefully we'll have that maybe March the 8th. But I do know that cloud is still hanging over there. I would hate for anyone to mark Alabama off their list. I still hope we remain on your short list of bringing tournaments to the state of Alabama. I want to thank fishing fans in general for your interest in this topic, and interest in what others, around the state are thinking. I made a comment on our podcast this week that if you think that your lake is not affected, you need to rethink that. And that is still my conversation with people. We didn't On November the 5th, I didn't think that this could happen, or this would be proposed on the Coosa River either, until I was told on November the 6th. So be mindful of that. And then to the fishing media, for everyone who's reached out to me and to others that have wanted to share the story and just have the facts. I appreciate all of you, and I'm happy to try to entertain as many interviews as I can. But I also want to address one final thing before I leave this meeting or leave this video. The number one thing that I've read in some of the emails that's been sent is that the anglers have only posed selfish motives as to why they do not want this passed, and that we haven't once mentioned the health of the fishery. And so I want to address that. I feel very confident that the Alabama Bass Trail has shown the interest in our fishery by the things that we imposed 12 years ago. the fact that we have a 1-pound dead fish penalty, the fact that we only allow 1 dead fish to be weighed in our tournaments, the fact that we've invested $25,000 year 1 in fish care equipment and $100,000 in fish care equipment in year 11. I think the fact that we have continued to allow anglers to come in an hour early, January through June, to weigh their fish, the fact that we have more team members on site than just about any other trail in the country to help with fish care, to help with the process. I think maybe we didn't write it in our email. Maybe we didn't write it in our letter. But for 12 seasons, 11 seasons, we've shown how concerned we are with the fishery. We complete our bait report every Monday morning. We do as you ask us to do. We've worked with cities to help them develop projects. So maybe we didn't write it in our email, but for the last 11 seasons, we've walked the walk, and we will continue to do so. And I say that because I've read that in numerous emails that we have only addressed this from a selfish standpoint. And I just don't believe that that's the case. I think for 11 years that we've walked the walk and we've been dedicated to great fish care. We've been dedicated to our dead fish penalty. We have not wavered from it one time. We've continued to invest in fish care. We've continued to invest in education for Frank, our fish care expert on our tanks. We've added members to that. We've cross-trained everyone. So I think we've walked the walk. So that is one thing that I do feel firmly about. So with that being said, again, what we know is that any regulation is what the email said. Any regulation will not be proposed until March 8th at the Conservation Advisory Board. It will either be voted on then, amendments may be made to it, it may be tabled, we don't know. But that is the first opportunity that it will be proposed to the Conservation Advisory Board. Hopefully we'll know soon when there will be another meeting or a stakeholders meeting that we can attend and calmly voice our opinions and present any data that we are allowed to present. So with that being said, I'd want to thank everybody again for listening to the podcast, for commenting on the podcast, for sharing the podcast. We will continue to keep you up to date on this issue, but we are going to move forward with our 2025 season. We are excited about it. That is the mode right now, is just getting ready for that. But as we enter the week of Thanksgiving, I do want to share just the sincerest thanks for all the support that we've received over the last 14 days. I wish you and your family the best. We do have a podcast coming up on Tuesday for Thanksgiving, so I'll save some of that until then. But I do want to let you know that I'm very thankful for you. I know our team is very thankful for you, and we do hope to see you out on the water in the great state of Alabama. God bless, good fishing, and I wish Big Daddy was here. Probably now more than anything, I wish he was here. He would always tell you to get outdoors. Y'all have a great Friday afternoon, and we'll see you back here on Tuesday. Have a great day.
Thanks for listening to the Alabama Bass Trail Podcast. To learn more about the Alabama Bass Trail, make sure and visit alabamabasstrail.org.